afternoon is our 3 p.m. on Saturday. We pick a topic that relevant to you because this is what we see among our staff. You know, May 15 is the nonprofit tax annual filing due date for most of the nonprofit, right? If their year is from January to December, May 15 is the time to file. So we're busy with nonprofit. While they're coming through and for annual filing, and we thought this would be a good topic to talk about because a lot of them are experiencing some really difficult time. I am not talking about 2024. Maybe 2024 is still okay, but the experience for the first 5 months of 2025 and the outlook of the future bring in a lot of challenges, a lot of concerns. So let's go ahead. Really tackles this particular issue for small nonprofit organization, executive directors, board members. I know nonprofit is not privately owned. It is a group of people share the vision, mission, share the passion, came together and to do good for the community, right? For a certain type of objective and then community. So now let's just take a look at where we are. And before we dive into the content, let me bring your attention to communitycpa.com. This is our company's website. And you can find a lot of information here. You can get a feel of what's going on by just coming to this website because you know we're kind of dealing with tax filing time. We are still in the process of filing nonprofit organization annual return right now because due is on the May 15th. So we're not completely out of the forest yet. Then of course you see the asset protection strategies. Why it is that important? It is becoming very important when you don't feel safe in a certain economic environment or with certain immigration policies or with certain political position you take. So whatever that may trigger you feel uncertain, then protection comes in, right? And you can make appointment with our partners. And so this is our website. And please take a look at our website. And also this round logo, communitycpa.com, that is our YouTube channel. You can find the round logo, sign into our channel, then you'll get notification of what we're talking about. Like today, you would already received our notification. And we do translate, repeat our webinars in different languages, and particularly in Chinese and in Spanish. We are working on adding Vietnamese into our language mix. All right. Of course, about our firm, you should know about our firm, and we are pretty amazing, to be in short. And we are very focused on serving small businesses. So a lot of, most of our clients, I would say every one of our clients, about 20,000 of them, they're all business owners. So we are a hub for small, medium size of businesses to come and get all services related to finance side of the world in one place with one stop. All right, these two books are the books I wrote from 2019 and 2023, so quite a years before. Nowadays, you know, when I'm writing the 2019, and I really felt the technology impact into working, because I remember when I was writing the first book, and I would write in words, you know, Word document. Then I will have a spelling check assistance and things like that. If I need to search anything, then I go on the internet to search. So it is like several screens, and I would write on one screen and I search on the other one. And it's Word document. And then do you know right now? And if you want to write something, and you tell the ChatGPT or whatever AI tools you use, I use several of them. And if you just tell them what you want to write and your thought about and how do you put your thoughts together, my goodness, the machine does it for you. So I'm not even sure when I come up with the book number 3, 2 p.m., whether that book is AI drafted or Ying drafted. I still like Chinglish, I write in Chinglish, I don't write in English. So I think the AI still need years to develop something called a Chinglish. All right, non-responsibility disclaimer as usual, and the current economic climate for nonprofit. Okay, the reality today is that companies who used to have money and now they're facing financial difficulties. And then, of course, leading to cut in cost, right? They're trying to, pull back on spending. They're trying to lay off more people. So, even nonprofit itself, the larger ones are facing the same fate. So economy, money is shrinking in the pocket. So we got to see that as a reality. I know, the White House will tell you that everything is super good. The eggs now cost no money. You can just pick it up from the market for free. Everything is so good. I'm sorry, I don't live in a White House, so my little black house is actually doesn't have the same picture. So I believe you live in the little black house just like me as well. So we don't see that. So the company don't see that. John Deere's here, our neighbor big factories are reducing employees. So economy is a mess, and that's what I call the big meltdown. Is right here, is the reality, and no need to sugarcoat it. And economy is economy, right? And the self-inflated economy downturn, that is just part of human life reality. Just be matter of the fact, and we understand what we're going through. Economic hardship and uncertainty creates an environment where donors don't want to donate. So you usual place to get money, they don't. And then, because they have their own things to deal with. With that, you get less funding as a nonprofit organization. You know how nonprofit survives. We survive on other people's given, right? We survive on the donations from people, from the government agencies, and also financial support. But if federal government changes their political views of what need to be supported, they don't support diversity, they don't support minority, they think it's overly done, so they cut the funding. Then people who are in that area of nonprofit, you will just not get funding. And the nonprofit that received the funding so could go overseas to do good for other countries, that's now all pulled back because, America first or America only kind of policies will get rid of those kind of funding streams. So nonprofit, yes, you're facing situations. And however, social vulnerabilities increases while these are decreasing. So nonprofit is in such a hard spot. On one end, they feel like they need to do something. It is even more needed. But on the other hand, what? They don't have money. So that's the reality. So 2 examples here. Latino Festival canceled by Iowa nonprofit organizers out of fear of mass ICE deportation. The organization in the small town of southeast Iowa canceled their annual event. And this is out of the fear of that event become a place where ICE will storm in and get hold of those non-documented families, the immigrants. So we'll make a scene out of supposedly be a celebration. So this is a huge decision. It's actually going to have triple effect on not just nonprofit, because if they don't have the event, they don't actually generate any income, right? They don't have any donations, you don't have the event. So the nonprofit would just dormant. It won't have any activities. But some of the nonprofit are doing these type of activity day in, day out, and then now you are closing it because of the fear of ICE. And the leader of this nonprofit, I think her name is, forgot her name, Sonia. Sonia said that they decided to cancel the event after people start to speak out about a possible ICE raid at the event. Losing revenues and the future uncertainty is all here. So this is the event, pictures that I collected out of the internet. So there is another one here in Des Moines, Iowa in September that will be canceled as well. So we will see how that one comes about. Then shifting federal funding landscape, because they are taking all the money from this part to the Pentagon, and you know how the budget just came out, and you already see they have cut significantly, basically zeroed out Department of Education's budget, and all of the diversity related and the veterans related and this early childhood education related is all significantly reduced. So this type of art nonprofit and is facing federal government depleted funding, so they don't have any more funding. Last year, and this organization called the Frontline Arts celebrated 50 years of spreading its unique take on print and paper making in local communities, serving more than 5,000 people annually. And this year they struggle. This year, 2025, they struggle. They do not have fundings. And they went on GoFundMe page to gather money. So many of their services, like literature and the veterans outreach, they are free literatures, right? So they don't generate money from the attendees. So they do need someone to pay in that money. That funding is gone, so they could not do these kind of services. So they're all canceled. So this is one of the flyers they have, Frontline Art, 50 years old plus, 450 plus. This is how they teach, the mid-age people to get involved for art activities. So a couple of stats here for nonprofit, just to give to you so you don't feel alone. A lot of times, don't you feel like if you experience a situation, then someone come around and tell you that, oh yeah, I know a lot of people have the same situation. What do you think you feel? You feel a little relaxed because you know you're not alone. That's why one of the big function of our webinar actually here is to tell you that you're not alone. Because otherwise you don't know. Unless you want to talk to other small business, small nonprofit organizations, and you know what's going on. If you're operating your business so busy and you have no time to socialize, then you don't know. And then there's 65% of nonprofit has shrinking staff, okay? 3 out of 4 nonprofit eliminating staff out of their organization. And 77% of nonprofit has increasing needs for that nonprofit. So sad, right? And it's not in here, it's 100% of the nonprofit have funding issue, 100%. Based on data from more than 230 nonprofit organizations here, almost half of the nonprofit lack of fundings to deliver their programs and services, so they just don't have any program anymore. But of course, you could still have your $350 in your bank so you can get your status continued and don't lose your nonprofit status, right? But if you don't have thousands, 10,000, 100,000 funds behind you, you can put up an event. Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit is a nonprofit. And it happens throughout the year. There's three events in the year, June, August, and also November. So we'll see how that one goes. And in terms of funding right now, we're still at a bare, and community CPA donates. And I knew other immigrant-owned businesses, and if they don't donate, I go to, convince them to donate, because that's the only way to keep our journey continues without setbacks, just because the government is changing directions, and we don't have to change as soon as the government change, and we can simply do what we think is the best for the community for the time being, until something to come up. Contribution from individuals decreased by a lot. That's just a reality, folks. And if nonprofits need to cut their budget, so now we're at the place where we say, okay, we have reduced funding. Now what to do, right? So one thing I really want to mention to our nonprofit folks, especially the small one, you know how you came through the pandemic time and you arrived today? So a lot of the funding you got from that time, you haven't really finished the reporting of it yet. The reporting of it is very important, and you don't think that you close the nonprofit today, then everything else you have not done in the past is done. No, the requirement is still there. So you want to make sure that you clean up what you need to submit and really close your nonprofit and year after year and properly. So I knew, because we have a nonprofit right now hasn't even done audit for 2021 yet. We're already in 2025. So someone need to catch up on the audit work for 4 years. The federal government is sitting there waiting for the audit report. So you can't be closing it or say, well, I don't have money for the audit. What am I going to do? I'm not going to do it. No, you have to do the audit, money side of things. You go talk to your auditor. You go talk to your stakeholder, or your parents, your sister, your neighbors, whoever got involved with your nonprofit. You get funding ready to get that audit done. So important. And don't think that, okay, I just closed my nonprofit, all of the stuff I owe from before, it doesn't count. No, it is still need to be done. So, the financial side of situation, you want to review your financial statement, really looking at this to see how much money you still have to finish the prior required funding requirement. Because you might be getting so much funding that you need to do a single audit, and you don't really want to not get that done. Get that done. That money, you need to have it so you can close your book properly, right? And this will help you to plan your existing money. Prioritize your expenses and your service. If you don't have enough money to do your service, only enough money to get your house cleaned up, your financial closed out, then you don't do your service. As much as we love to get our service done, to serve the community, to benefit the community members, but you also don't want to not do your compliance side report, so you go to jail or what? And you say, well, I won't go to jail. How do you know you won't? You are a board member of the nonprofit, unless you have insurance to cover you, and you could be subject to the scrutiny and the compliance review. If you happen to have a visa situation, you might be sent back to your country because you're in violation of federal government requirement. And I mean, am I stretching? Am I giving you a impossible scenario? Of course not. You know what to look for, and you go on internet to find what I said is absolutely true. Other strategies with considering funding shortage. You are in funding shortage, just really need to look for money. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you that where to go, but I want to say that as a nonprofit board members or executive directors, and your job is to reach out to people you have never reached out, ask for money. You look out your vendors and your service and your promises to your stakeholders what you need to do, and making sure you have enough money to do that. And look for ways to reduce your overhead. If something you can do, don't hire people to do. If you hire people to do things now, see whether that can be done by volunteer, right? So just really utilize everyone's body as much as money. So try not to spend, and try to find money to support you, to at least put the nonprofit in a sustainable, and to at least not losing its status. It is hard to lose the status. President Trump just evoked Harvard University's status. That's a nonprofit. University is actually a type of nonprofit, so their revenue they made from tuitions and stuff and all of that, and there's no income tax to it. So he just revoked that status. That means Harvard is gonna start paying corporation tax. President Trump also have a low rate for corporation tax, so I hope he evoked that and they then end up still paying less taxes, but I don't understand the politics. I think Harvard is the very best university in US, is top of the line. Why do we want to give them a hard time? I don't know. Maybe President Trump trying to make them shine, by doing that, and everybody pay attention to what they're doing. Okay. Looking for emergency grants and a funding opportunity, that's also a thing, but I will tell you that it's very hard to find free money right now. And we used to put out webinars on free money, right? Remember, folks? If you just look into our channel, go free money webinar, and you're going to find me there almost every month to give you a free money webinar. And we did try that. We did try, and we couldn't even find 5 minutes content for you. So there's not a lot of free money. And you want to learn how to launch crowdfunding. That is what Frontline Arts have done. And go back to your community. Go back to your community and find the successful entrepreneurs, and in person, face to face, ask for help. And I promise you, if you just do it, you will get it. And you know why I say that? Because I do that. I go to their house. I go to their house and I ask. Because I do believe in the nonprofit mission and how we should give our talent and time to the community in need. That is, if we want to find meaning in life, right? Is really your meaning in life just eat and sleep? Nobody's is. Nobody's is in the United States of America. This country is wealthy enough that we all are having higher level of need than just basic human essentials. So our emotions, our mentalities, our mental activities gives us that desire to accomplish something that is intangible, that is valuable to other people, right? Today I stopped at the crossroad, a highway, not a highway stop. Where did I stop today? Actually, right around downtown here in Des Moines, and I stopped. There was three cars ahead of me. There was a older man was asking for money and has a sign say homeless, no money, please help. So very simple sign. Then the three cars in front of me, every car came up with the money. Okay, and don't ask me whether I did or not, but the cars around me all did that. So that is the help. That is the help that the community showing up for them. And the guy looks like veterans. Des Moines is a small town. Sometimes you remember these people. I think I remember seeing him, and at one time he has a sign saying that he's a retired veteran. So very, nice gentleman. You can tell that he's in hardship, but still a good soul. So people are helping him. So this is what I say about going back to community, going back to your neighbors and helping each other. Identify new funding resources. Of course, it is what nonprofit executive director should do, the board director should do, and you can still look for grant opportunity if there is any cooperation, corporate partnership is still important. And even though diversity side of things is no longer required at federal level, but the company, the CEOs, have their own right to decide whether that is still their priority or not. So you will just follow the corporations that believes in your mission and vision. Individual donors are always going to be there. And the nonprofit network coalitions, if you have a nonprofit, she has a nonprofit, maybe join force to survive at the same time, right? Then of course, partner with schools, partner with a young student who come out when they need life experience. They may just come to work for free for you. So they're just ways to get new fundings, folks. It only require you to work harder. Really, nothing else. If you think you worked hard before, then you work harder. If you think you worked harder already before, then you're going to work your hardest. That's very simple. Communicate transparently with stakeholders. So every nonprofit has their stakeholders. Like for example, Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit has Community CPA and Wells Fargo behind the scene. So we are the big stakeholders because we literally between Wells Fargo and Community CPA, we come up with 90% of the funding needed for the event, right? So you want to make sure that you transparently communicate your need. Tell the staff volunteer what we're facing, engage donor and supporters, and get the board to come out, and you can include the people who fund you in your activities. So the executive directors from IES and just simply came up and said that, Ying, we don't have funding anymore, but there's still payment need to be made. So what do? We're just going to write a check from Community CPA, donate to IES, and so IES can continue doing their work. So that's the kind of things that we need to do. And you as a small nonprofit organization executive director, and you need to not only have thick skin to ask, you don't need to have a face, you just ask. Because that is how you will survive. Small nonprofit filing requirement, this is very important because if you are not filing it timely, properly, and not meeting the compliance requirement, you could lose your status. And don't think you can restore your status right away. I know right now, President Trump don't have anything about the nonprofit organization filing, but I'm not surprised. Next thing is that they don't allow you to form anymore the nonprofit, so you won't have this kind of tax exempt status anymore. And you're going to be running small businesses if you don't have a nonprofit, right? Small businesses, you pay taxes. Nonprofit don't pay income tax. That's why people are using nonprofit tools to do good to the community because their profit is not their goal. Their impact to the community, positive impact to the community is the goal. So with that said, and you want to make sure that you really meet the deadline, right? We talk about May 15. May 15 is in the corner. And if you have a small nonprofit and you didn't get more than $50,000 receipts from your last 12 months, then you don't have to file like expensive 990. You can just do a postcard filing. If you don't even know what is postcard filing, and you just make a call to any CPA firm, ask them for postcard filing. Or you can go on irs.gov website to figure out how to file that yourself. And here at our firm, we do that. We charge minimum fees. And the 990, you need to have financial statement ready to do that, right? For bigger nonprofit, there are different annual filing requirements, such as 990 easy for larger nonprofit, but the e-postcard filing is straightforward. So with that said, I want to make sure that you don't forget to file. Even though you're in hardship, you still need to file to maintain your nonprofit status, folks. All right? That's very important. IRS audit trend in 2025 for nonprofit. So of course, it's increased scrutiny. The IRS has increased scrutiny on nonprofit organizations to ensure compliance with tax law and regulations. Be prepared for potential audit. Okay? You need to maintain accurate and thorough record. Common audit triggers for nonprofit. If you understand the common audit triggers, then you would be able to prevent yourself getting selected, right? So those are depreciations, those are, executive director compensations, unrelated business income. So you are running a immigrant entrepreneur summit, but suddenly you got a apple reselling apples to make income. No, that's a unrelated business income, right? So you don't want to have that. So make sure that you really work your nonprofit financials to have that business stay in line with your nonprofit purpose, right? Audit preparation. If you are selected for audit, make sure you have all your documentation ready. And if you got selected for audit, you're just like, how feeling like pass out. It's just so stressed out, and you couldn't even focus on reading anything. You couldn't even finish reading that piece of letter. If you get into that kind of mental stage, you need professional help. I don't recommend you dealing with audit on your own, especially right now, because these audit is all triggers. They're not the end of things. They're the beginning of things. And I don't used to talk like that. I am just talking like this because I see it that way. And I'm just giving you my thought of when you are in this kind of situation. Don't try to measure that by your brother's experience 5 years ago. No, 5 years ago is a long time ago. Right now we are in a very different time. Very different time. If you need to close your nonprofit, it is such a hard topic, right? We don't want nonprofit to close because you come along representing a need of a community. You had a reason to exist, and on the legal and the reporting side of consideration, you want to obtain formal approval from your board of directors. If you have three of you have to okay that. And it should be documented in the board meeting saying that we're going to close. You cannot just be thinking I'm the executive director, I want to close my nonprofit. That doesn't mean anything. You need to get your board of directors to concur with you, right? Check your nonprofit bylaw and the state law for specific procedures requirement for dissolution. The state has specific requirement for dissolution. So make sure you're complying with those legal requirements. And inform IRS of your intention to close. Normally when you file your 990, and you would mark as a final return. And on the postcard, you will mark that this is final. So then your status will go away, right? And you want to keep your record for 3 to 7 years. Depends on the state law, So you want to look at your state where you formed the nonprofit, and then based on the state law, you know that it's between 3 to 7. If you're just so busy, you have no time to check on that, then you keep it at 7, right? So make sure that is what you do if you decide to close. If you need to close your nonprofit, you also need to consider financial side of things to ensure all outstanding debt obligations are paid off, okay? If you don't pay off the debt and obligations, the board of directors would be liable for that. And your board of directors may not expect that to come to their doorway, right? But if you say, but we bought an insurance for our board of directors, so they don't end up paying for that, then you got your insurance. But normally, those obligations don't go away. They go into the board of directors' personal pocket. According to state law and your nonprofit bylaws, dispute of any remaining asset to the nonprofit and need to move to another nonprofit with similar mission. The process must be documented and reported to IRS. So let's say your nonprofit owns a vehicle. Now you want to close your nonprofit. And you can sell the vehicle, take the money to pay off the debt, right? But you can also transfer your vehicle to another nonprofit who also need the vehicle with a similar mission. So those are the things need to be taken care of. This is about your asset, right? You take care of your liability, you take care of your asset. And you want to cancel your registration with Secretary of State, right? Cancel the state local registration and make sure that you cancel your bank account and your credit card account, and make sure you leave budget for wrapping up the nonprofit. We actually had a client, and the executive director was very, very methodical and clean. What she did was, this was a couple years ago, so they are going through closing of their nonprofit. Actually, she came to our firm and asked us the procedures to close. So we give her 3 steps to do. And each step, she's asking how much money we needed for each step. So we give her the budget for each step. So she closed out her bank account and issued money order for all these budget that we talked about and holding in her hand. So as soon as we finish one, she gave us one. As soon as we finish the other one, she gave us the other one. So it is such a clean closing. So when you close nonprofit, you need to do that. You have to take care of the wrap-up work. If you still owe 4 years audit, boy, you probably want to finish those audits before you close. Because your final may not be final if you don't get audit done. So this is a real issue. Some nonprofits just don't have the money to hire auditor to close out their audit. They may say that, can we just have auditor donate their time and money to do that? You know what? No, it's not possible. Why? Because the auditor is required to be independent from this nonprofit. If the auditor is donating to this nonprofit for doing audit, what is the auditor going to do? They're not arm's length anymore. They're not issuing the real closed report anymore. They're not independent anymore. So that's your dilemma, nonprofit organizations. And you don't think about it, but it is a real problem. You have to go find other donor to give you money. Then you can use that money, pay to your auditor. Of course, you can shop for the lowest cost auditor. I would recommend you to shop. When you shop for the auditor, you tell the auditor that we're closing. We just need to get it done. And how much can you charge us? What is the best fee you can give us? And stuff like that. And then negotiate with your vendors. Negotiate with your auditors. But they still have to charge you. So that's what that is. All right. So my final thought for today. I know I don't have formula ideas to give you. I'm not saying that you add 1 + 1 = 2 in here. A lot of the conversation is philosophical, idea-driven, and hopefully enlightening your understanding of the process when you want to continue the nonprofit or you want to close the nonprofit, right? And what I want to add to your thoughts is, you can also now set up a new nonprofit when you see a special needs in your community that was not there before. This is a changing time. Everything is not the same. So there may be needs out there, your community needs, that you know you can fulfill. You can set up your nonprofit. And when you set that up, I know in your mind, you know where to get the support. So your community will come up to support you. If you run it with your heart, the money will come. And I say that 1,000,000 times. Because if I say this to you, I hope you don't think I am joking. Actually, money is not something you needed to focus on. The rest of your life is what you need to focus on. You need to focus on yourself being happy. You need to focus on yourself being healthy. You need to focus on your community being vibrant, united. You need to focus on yourself going into a workplace, your heart melts, not tightens. And you want to focus on those. If you got all of these things already resolved, you felt like you have it, you have the money. You have. One thing in my life, I have a gift because I knew what means do not have money. Maybe a lot of you don't even know what that means. And because you never lived a life where you don't even have 25 cents to make a phone call, so you have to walk on highway to get home. Maybe that was never your life, but that was my life. I don't have the money to make the payphone, so I can't tell, my friend to come to pick me up. And I never walked home so far. I only knew how car comes around the highway, so I just walked the highway to go home. Luckily the police didn't, catch me. Now I know that, if we see someone walking on a highway, the police probably stop you, but not my time in Toronto. Maybe that place is a little different, Toronto is different than Des Moines, Iowa, or other states here in the U.S. So once you have that kind of life insurance, the life experience, you actually very easily satisfy with what you have. If you really think that, that's what the quality of a lot of immigrants are. A lot of immigrants coming from war-torn country and coming from poverty and knows what means don't have money, actually understand hungry. Do you really understand hungry? You may be having eating disorder, you don't eat, so you're hungry, but do you really understand that you want to eat and you absolutely don't have food? I understand that. And then maybe you don't. But when you don't have that kind of experience, it's hard to make yourself happy because there's no baseline to make yourself happy. So what I would recommend you to do is to learn from other people, to get involved with the community that is hungry, and to feel how they feel. Then you will come out, be the savior of them, and help them to feel how you feel. Don't even know what means hungry, right? Preserve your nonprofit status. Do not skip filing your annual report because it's so important. If you lose it, you lose it. It is not easy to restore. We have tried to restore nonprofit status for some organizations, literally take years. Now with all of these federal government employees get cut, IRS really are not that fast in responding to you. So my final thoughts, there is nothing you cannot do. There is nothing the outside of world can really manipulate you to not do. Where there is a will, there is a way. In Chinese, we say 有志者事竟成. You will make it. You can make it because you have the will. All right, that concludes our today's webinar, and these are our partners at Community CPA. We are different. We are truly different because every one of us have the heart for compassion. We love people, we love our community, and we love our small business owners. When you work hard, we understand how you work. And we give back your money. We protect your asset just the way how hard you worked for it. So we work for you. And if you want to engage us to help you, don't be shy. Just come online and give us a call and we'll be there. So the very last slides. This one just gives you our website again, our YouTube channel again, and Catherine at Community CPA, she's our marketing manager here, and she's also our librarian. She's amazing. You know, when I tell her that this is the webinar I want to do, and she's the one that would line up the slides and give me the content and, educate me in many ways. So I learn from what I teach, and you teach me, and we grow together. And call us 515-288-3188, Monday to Saturday. We work 6 days a week, all year round. I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.